Okay, now we're going to go into that zone 1 on your gyro. Now, what you're going to see here, hey, what's happening? That oil is transferring from one canister to another, isn't it? Now, the way that works is we have air pressure that goes into one canister, it compresses that oil, and makes the brush go in and out. So, an important thing you're going to want to look at and listen for in this area. You're going to look at the air over oil canisters. If they appear to be milky in color, kind of look like a chocolate milk, that means that water has gotten into your air system and water has found its way into those air over oil canisters. And at that point, you might want to call that service provider and have them come out and let's do a good PM and change out that oil. In addition to that, something I rarely do is I'm going to be quiet in this area. What I'm listening for is an air leak. I want to make sure that I don't hear an air leak up in this area. There could be an air leak going in those from the airlines, going into the air over oil canisters. There could be an air leak because there's something going on with the cylinder that makes that brush go in and out. So give a good listen. Zone 1 of your gyro. We talked about the air over oil canisters, making sure we have a good ear, see if we have any air leaks. Look at the oil inside the canisters, make sure it doesn't look milky like a chocolate milk, possible water inside your air system. Now, you're going to want to look at these lines. The lines coming from the air over oil canisters to the cylinders. This connection point is what makes your arms go in and out and follow along the side of your car and then wash the back of your car. Now, take a look at those lines. And again, with your hands, make sure that you don't feel any oil. If you feel any oil, then there's a chance that we have a loose fitting or a bad or loose connection. So put your hands on the cylinders, touch and feel stuff. See if you have anything oily up there, okay? Okay, now during your inspection process, take note. You have a set of air over oil canisters at the exit end of your car wash and at the entrance of your car wash. Each set of air over oil canisters, the hose, the air fittings, air lines, all have to be inspected. All right, now let's talk about each arm as it's attached to the gyro frame. Each arm has an upper and a lower bumper stop. Now what that does is that limits the amount of travel that the arm can swing either inboard or outboard. Again, a good visual inspection, making sure, A, that the bumper stop is present and accounted for. 2, you might want to take a look and put your hands on that bolt there. Make sure that it is good and tight, because if that bumper stop gets out of position, then what will happen is your gyro brushes have the ability to swing farther in or farther out, or not far enough in or not far enough out. So, good visual inspection of the bump stops, making sure they're good and tight, and then we're going to move on and we're going to follow the arm out. The next thing I want to talk about are going to be the electrical wiring going from the top of the gyro frame out to the motor, and then the nozzles that spray the water and the soap onto the brush. Now we're going to talk about the electrical wiring going from the top of the gyro frame to the motor, and we're going to make a quick stop and we're going to take a look at the spray nozzles. Okay? So what I'm looking for, what you should be looking for in the electrical wiring as it comes off the top of the framework, you're going to want to make sure that that electrical wiring isn't getting caught, isn't getting hung up, and is tight and secure. Okay? If that electrical wiring is loose, if it drops down, as this brush moves in and out, there's a possibility of it getting caught and damaged. So a visual inspection on both the driver's side and the passenger side brush is a critical thing take a look at that wiring as it transitions off the top of the gyro and goes down to the arm. Pull the arm inboard to the middle of the bay, and then take a look at it. Is that wire being stretched? Is it too loose? Is it hitting something? Is it getting pinched? So we're going to do that to both the driver's side and the passenger side brush. Next thing we're going to want to take a look at is on the bottom side of your gyro arm, driver's side and passenger side, we have our spray nozzles. Now the spray nozzles are going to deliver that reclaimed water that we talked about, the reclaimed water which has all of the soap that's still in it, and it's going to be used as a lubricity on your brush. So want to make sure that first of all, that the nozzles are in good repair, that your nozzles are all facing side to side. So when you see the water spraying on this brush, it should envelop this brush with water and soap, okay? So as long as those are good and secure, we're going to continue following our electrical wire all the way up to where it goes into the bottom of the motor. Now, you'll notice that your electrical wire has a nice 90-degree swoop going into the bottom. That's very important because this brush is mounted on a bowling ball and it can move 7 ways to Sunday, okay? And it's made to do that so it will always find its true center, but it's made to move like that so it can contour the vehicles and different vehicle types. Now, if that electrical wiring going in the bottom of that box is not a nice swooping 90, when we go in contact with a car or back of a car, what's going to happen to that wire? It's going to get pulled, it's going to get stretched, and it's going to pull right out of that motor box. So if you see something like that, where that wire is too tight, or if you see that wire being pulled out of that box, let's stop what we're doing, let's give our service provider a call, and let's get them out here. Okay, now we're going to do the opposite side gyro arm. And just a quick overview, okay? Because I know you guys got it. Again, we want to take a look at the hoses going into the cylinders, making sure they're not leaking. Follow that electrical wire from the top of the gyro frame down, and let's pull that arm in. Let's let the arm go back out. Make sure the bump stops are in good repair, they're good and tight. Follow that electrical line down to where it connects to the bottom of that motor. When it connects to the bottom of that motor, let's move that brush side to side, front to back, and let's make sure that that wire is not too tight, okay? Now that we've inspected zone 1 of the gyro, and that's everything in the top part of the wash. Remember, a lot of important equipment is at the top of your car wash, not just at eye level. An additional part of our zone 1 assessment of the gyro, what we're looking at now would be just below the motor and gearbox combination. You have an upper bearing and a lower bearing. Now, what's critical about the upper bearing and lower bearing, now you may or may not be the individual who services these bearings. But what you're going to want to look for is you want to make sure that they have been greased at some point in time. In addition to that, the upper and lower bearing, if you have too much grease, that additional grease that comes out of the bearing when it's serviced needs to be removed. Reason being is if you have a lot of grease up in this area, and we have a lot of water, and we have a spinning brush, what could end up happening is that additional grease can drop down onto your cloth media. So any excessive grease you see on any of your gyro bearings, go ahead and take a rag and go ahead and remove that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the actual bowling ball of the gyro. The bowling ball allows the brush to swivel 360 degrees. What you're going to want to do as part of that zone 1 assessment of your gyro is just go ahead and give a good visual inspection of that bowling ball. Make sure it doesn't have any nicks, chips, or cracks in it. If everything looks great, go ahead and move on to your next part of your assessment. Now, one of the key things that you're going to come upon as you're walking through the car wash bay, and it's a telling sign that something is going on. This is a Neotex material, okay? It's made to break away, okay? Now, if there's something going on with the brush itself, or if the brush has come in contact with a sharp object on a vehicle, let's say a truck with maybe a toolbox in the back, or something along those lines, then you're going to see a lot of this Neotex material on the ground. Now, if you see this Neotex material on the ground, it's a telling sign that we need to stop what we're doing and we need to inspect that brush. Now, it could be that, like I said, something in the back of the truck got caught in the brush, but we don't want to take any chances. We're going to inspect this brush before we open up for the day. Okay, each one of your gyro brushes is made up of two sections. You have an upper section and you have a lower section. The upper section is a 6-inch hub which is connected to the shaft going up to the motor. Now, each hub has fasteners that go down the side of it, and I'd like to see if I can, here, I'll pull that wash clip out. You can see the fasteners, and there are a row of them going all the way down. All right, now as we're inspecting the 6-inch core, the upper part of the brush, and again, remember, we're going to do this to both brushes. What you can actually do is you can actually turn the motor and gearbox combination just by giving it a quick little bump and turn. And that way you can separate your cloth, give your bolt pattern a good visual inspection. While you're doing that, you can also take a look at your wash clips, make sure your wash clips aren't broken. You can inspect and make sure that you don't have any Neotex that is missing or damaged that you might need to get replaced or order some new. So that's the 6-inch core, okay? From here to here. Now we're going to talk about the 12-inch core. Here's the 12-inch core of your gyro, okay? And again, you have 4 sections that are bolted together, which are attached to the shaft of the gyro, which go up to the motor and gearbox. And again, we're going to go through and we're going to check our fasteners all the way down that 12-inch core and make sure that they're good and tight and they're in good repair. Also, we're going to take a look at the Neotex fill and look at the wash clips. Make sure that you have a good amount of Neotex in this area. Because the main purpose of this 12-inch core is, yeah, it cleans a good car, okay? But what it does is, as this brush comes up against the side of a vehicle, it will actually keep the brush out and away at a safe distance, allowing the longer pieces of wash material to contour the side of a vehicle. So, if you notice that during a process of a wash, that all of a sudden my brushes look a little bit more aggressive. Let's stop what we're doing. Let's look at these 12-inch cores. Let's make sure that the Neotex fill is all there. And if it's not, let's get a hold of the appropriate people and let's get some new cloth out here.